For nearly a century, the United States has been the ultimate destination, the shining city on a hill where the world's tired and poor came to find a future. But the latest data from 2025 and early 2026 has just delivered a reality check that feels more like a cold shower. According to recent figures from the Brookings Institution, the American dream is currently experiencing its first major hardware failure since the Great Depression. We are officially witnessing net negative migration. While the Trump administration takes victory laps over its deportation numbers, boasting about 675,000 removals and over 2 million so-called self-deportations, they are missing the most damning statistic of all. The ledger is bleeding on the other side. People are not just being pushed out, they are sprinting for the exits. It turns out, when you spend years branding the country as a fortress, you should not be surprised when the neighbors and even the owners decide the fortress has become a pressure cooker. The United States saw a net loss of approximately 150,000 people last year, a number projected to climb even higher throughout 2026. Total immigration has essentially cratered, falling from nearly 6 million in 2023 to a measly 2.7 million. But this is not just about border policy or visa backlogs. This is about a fundamental shift in the American identity. For the first time in modern history, the land of the free is becoming the land of the fleeing, as record numbers of documented citizens trade their passports for a chance at a life that does not involve political instability or constant economic anxiety. In this video, we will dissect the systemic forces driving this mass exodus, expose the brutal financial gates that keep the working class trapped in a declining system, and reveal why the American passport is losing its luster for the very people who were born to hold it. If you look at the faces of this exodus, you will realize this is not a random cross-section of the population. It is a demographic divorce. The people most eager to hand in their keys are the ones America needs most for its future: the young, the marginalized, and women. Recent Gallup data reveals a chilling statistic. 40% of American women aged 15 to 44 want to permanently move overseas. To put that in perspective, that is higher than the 37% of people in sub-Saharan Africa expressing the same desire. When women in one of the wealthiest nations on Earth are more desperate to leave than those in some of the world's most impoverished regions, the shining city has a major leak in the roof. The reasons are not exactly a mystery. While the administration screams about tariffs and border walls, American parents are busy buying bulletproof backpacks. One American living in Berlin captured the sentiment perfectly. Over there, you do not face the prospect of your 5-year-old child doing an active shooter drill. It turns out that kindergartners practicing for urban warfare is a significant push factor. Beyond the fear of physical violence, there is the crushing weight of systemic targeting. 63% of Generation Z and 61% of LGBTQ+ individuals are looking at the exits. Why? Because when the political climate shifts from disagreement to existential threat, the rational response is relocation. Add to this the fact that 57% of Black Americans and 52% of Democrats feel like strangers in their own land, and you see a country that is essentially evicting its own diversity. These people are not leaving because they hate their country. They are leaving because they are tired of the country hating them back. They are citing a lack of healthcare, the normalization of political violence, and an affordability crisis that has turned homeownership into a cruel joke for anyone under 40. From the Grand Canal Dock district in Dublin, where 1 in every 15 residents was born in the United States, to the streets of Barcelona, where locals tell digital nomads to go home, the message is clear. The American middle class is becoming a class of refugees, seeking the safety and stability their own government has traded for aggressive nationalism. The old refrain, "If you do not like it, leave," has become a cruel joke, because in 2026, leaving has a very specific price tag. While the desire to exit is at an all-time high, the ability to do so is guarded by a financial iron curtain. Moving countries is not as simple as packing a suitcase and buying a plane ticket. It is a math problem that the average American is currently failing. Let us look at the receipts. To qualify for Portugal's popular D7 visa, you must prove a monthly passive income of at least $820. That might sound doable until you realize most Americans have less than $500 in emergency savings. If you fancy Mexico, the bar is even higher. You will need a monthly income of $2,700, or a bank statement showing $45,000 in cold, hard cash. Costa Rica demands $2,500 a month, and the trendy digital nomad. Visas popping up across Europe and Asia typically require a remote income between $2,500 and $3,500. For those with serious capital, golden visas start at a staggering $250,000 in investment. This is the pay-to-play escape. These thresholds systematically exclude the working-class Americans who are often the hardest hit by deteriorating domestic conditions. What we are seeing is the rise of a relocation industry that caters exclusively to the affluent. Companies like Lux Nomads and GTFO are booming, helping wealthy Trump critics find their parachute. But for the 40% of Americans who say moving costs are the only thing stopping them, the reality is bleak. They are economically imprisoned within a system that is becoming increasingly hostile to their interests. They are trapped in a cycle where they cannot afford to stay, but they certainly cannot afford to leave. While the tech workers and retirees with fat pensions secure their spots in Lisbon or Mexico City, the person working high jobs at a warehouse is left to watch the social fabric unravel from the front row. It turns out, the wall Trump talked so much about was never just at the border. It was built out of dollar signs, and it is keeping millions of people trapped inside. The result of this financial gatekeeping is the emergence of two distinct Americas that no longer share a common destiny. On one side, you have the mobile elites, the tech workers earning six-figure United States salaries while sipping cheap wine in Lisbon, the retirees with indexed pensions, and the specialized professionals whose skills are a universal currency. These people are not just moving, they are engaging in a systematic extraction of talent and capital from the American heartland. When a Silicon Valley engineer relocates to Berlin, they take their tax revenue, their innovation, and their future with them. This is the ultimate brain drain, and it is hollowing out the very demographic that the country needs to solve its mounting problems. On the other side of this divide are the immobile populations, the millions of Americans who are forced to endure the consequences of aggressive nationalism because they simply do not have the bank balance to opt out. For these citizens, the deteriorating conditions are not something you read about in a newsfeed. They are a daily reality. They are the ones facing healthcare bankruptcies, watching housing prices destroy any hope of home ownership, and witnessing the normalization of political violence in their own neighborhoods. They are captive to a system that is becoming less livable by the day, while the people with the resources to change things are busy applying for foreign residency. The irony here is thick enough to cut with a knife. While the United States government screams about protecting its borders from outsiders, its own wealthiest citizens have become the outsiders in other nations. In cities like Barcelona and Lisbon, locals are not exactly rolling out the red carpet. Graffiti that reads "Digital Nomads Go Home" is a direct response to wealthy American economic refugees who are driving up local housing costs and displacing the working class of Europe. It is a bizarre global game of musical chairs where the American elite escapes a house they perceive as burning only to accidentally set fire to someone else's neighborhood. The defining fault line of the future is no longer just red versus blue. It is those who can fly away and those who are stuck in the terminal. History provides a perfect template for what happens next, and it is not a happy ending. In every authoritarian regime throughout the 20th century, the departure of the opposition was never seen as a loss by those in power. It was seen as a feature. As the educated, the young, and the marginalized exit stage left, the political center of gravity within the country shifts. This creates a self-reinforcing feedback loop that is almost impossible to break. When the critics leave, the base becomes proportionally stronger, enabling even more extreme policies, which in turn drives the remaining dissenters to look for the nearest exit. It is a systematic extraction of the very soul of a democracy. The brutal irony is that the United States, a nation built on the identity of being the ultimate destination for those fleeing oppression, has now become the origin point for that same dynamic. We are witnessing the birth of the American economic refugee. Whether it is over 50,000 Mexican Americans crossing the border to find work, or the record-breaking surge in British citizenship applications, the data confirms that the tide has turned. Trump's America is becoming something people escape, not something they aspire to join. As the brain drain accelerates and the class divide becomes the defining fault line of society, we have to wonder, how long can a nation survive when its most innovative and diverse minds are voting with their feet? The exodus has only just begun, and the gap between those who can afford to leave and those who are trapped is about to become the most dangerous divide in the country. But we want to hear from you. Does the American dream still exist? Or has it been replaced by a survival instinct? If you had the financial means and a valid passport today, would you stay to fight for a better future? Or would you join the thousands already settling in Lisbon, Berlin, or Mexico City? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let us get a real-world pulse on this data. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next analysis.